chaos continues at the Beitbridge border as thousands of Zimbabweans remain stranded. The long queues are persisting amid increased health checks and curfews. Now, our reporter Pelani Phakgadi has been at the border since this morning and joins us live for the latest update. Pelani, thank you so much for your time. What's the latest situation now at the border?
When we were lost inside the border, we were told that we should vacate because they wanted to deal decisively with the matter and the challenges that were happening. We've seen thousands of people gathered within this particular border post, and no social distancing was adhered to, and there was a lot of people retesting COVID-19 in the process. Now, since we have left, it's been about 6-7 hours since then, and this is the current situation. There is literally nobody on the sidewalks. There we did our earlier interviews with scores, let's just say thousands of people were queuing all the way back into Beitbridge, the Zimbabwe area. So currently there is no one on this side. But let me tell you what we understand as Newzroom Afrika, and as well as what had happened here. There has been, yes, people that have been allowed to go into South Africa with legitimate documents. But what we do understand is that thousands more were pushed back into Zimbabwe, and they are now having to come back from the other side, where we understand that there is queues and congestion on the other side of the Beitbridge border post in Zimbabwe, and they will then have to be processed firstly that side, and will be allowed through to come into South Africa, of course being escorted so that they can avoid the numbers that they've seen here in South Africa. I think it rings a bell to yesterday when Aaron Motsoaledi, the Minister of Home Affairs, was talking to our colleague Bongiwe Zwane there, and telling us that it is not a South African problem at the time, and it's exactly what I believe had happened here, to ensure that it is not only seen as a humanitarian crisis in South Africa, then people should start to be processed all the way back in Zimbabwe. And at the times, of course, not only times, but as well as the amount limited to the capacity that we see here at the Beitbridge border post. So it is a situation is completely different within the border post as to what we've seen about 6 hours ago. We do understand that the post manager had indicated that she wanted to ensure that there was no more movement, and then the issues around the COVID-19 health protocols are completely adhered to. So that is what we see and happening here within the border post. But of course, one of the other reasons, perhaps maybe just to add, that might also could have added to why we see less numbers here, is that around 6 o'clock, which is in about 45 minutes time, there will be less movement, if not at its minimal, in the Zimbabwe side. There is the curfew. It begins there from 6 o'clock in the evening and until 6 o'clock in the afternoon, in the morning tomorrow. And here in South Africa, the curfew begins at 9 o'clock. So after 9 o'clock, the regulations bars any kind of movement or processions from here, this particular border post. So that's what we see, particularly at this border post. Little movement whatsoever, vehicles only passing through when they are ordered to by officials here, so that there could be COVID-19 health protocols being adhered to. Hey?
And in fact, those sentiments and those conversations around is the Zimbabwean government doing enough, those are sentiments that were shared by a number of Zimbabweans living in South Africa and other parts of the world, essentially saying that the situation that was happening at the border for some time, should be worrisome also to the Zimbabwean government. Now, earlier, you were at the Limpopo River and you saw some, desperate scenes of people crossing that river. What else did you see there?
Well, at that particular river, of course, there's canoes there that you see quite a number, in quite a number where people are paying, we are told, about 50 rand and most 100 to get ferried into South Africa from the Beitbridge side of the river, crossing into South Africa. So at all costs, as you can see, that people who are desperate, who have been perhaps waiting here for some time, have opted now to use extreme ways of entering South Africa. And we've seen that at least at this time, the water are not the water levels are no longer as high as they were a few weeks ago when Hitekani Magwedza, our colleague, was covering the story. So they are about hip levels. So people are also crossing the river, the crocodile-infested river, by walking through it in their number. So those are some of the things that we've seen, some visuals that we'll be sending a little bit later on, with people literally swimming across to gain access to Zimbabwe, to South Africa, and also going back, telling us that it is usually their day-to-day life when they also cross the rivers, not really afraid that they may fall victim to crocodiles. So it gives you an indication that when the borders are full and people really want to cross and gain access into the other side of South Africa, then use extreme measures as well. We've seen those social media videos that came through yesterday that actually even propelled us to come here in the first place, where people were pushing themselves and converged just under the rail, literally under this bridge behind me, where they were trying to get themselves onto this particular corridor that you see here, and then into the border. So that is the desperation the lockdown effect in Zimbabwe has brought. People looking to try and protect their livelihoods. We know that the economic stability in that country bears a lot of challenges, so people really want to come through and protect their livelihoods. Some tell us that they work in South Africa, some tell us that they trade, some informally in South Africa, and that would be much better for them that the lockdown does not find them while they are home, because they will not have any means of income over the next 30 days as the lockdown continues in that country.
Pelani Phakgadi, thank you so much for your time. That was Pelani Phakgadi coming to us live there from Beitbridge border post. Now,